You a psychic, sensitive, or seeker who wants to learn more? Welcome to the Mystic School with Sarah Wiseman, where we dive deep into all things mystic and metaphysical. Here's Sarah.
Welcome, everybody, to the Mystic School. I am your host, Sarah Wiseman, and today our show is being run live on the solar eclipse, October 25th. So, a big day for lots of us who follow that, and for lots of us who feel it, depending on where your astrological signs are. Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus may be the most effective. I have a lot of planets in all of that. And so today at 2:33, I woke up. I think the eclipse started at around 2 a.m., not visible here where we are in Pacific Northwest, but that energy just tends to come around and sort of make itself known. So today is a great day to stay under the radar, to not make any big decisions, to stay away from drama and dysfunction as much as you're able, to not cause arguments. Just kind of hang low today and tomorrow, and hopefully you were sort of hanging low yesterday too. Our show today is about what are the Akashic Records. And now Akashic Records are a kind of a big fancy name for really this place or this portal we normally always usually go to whenever we're doing light trance journeying, which is what I teach, this sort of intuitive gathering style of meditation. So those of you guys who have done work with me know we'll go into this sort of light meditation. We'll go into this portal area that sometimes feels like, sometimes we call it the open meadow. And then there in the distance, we'll often see or visualize a building of some kind. And as we progress more further into meditative space, learning how to journey, learning what happens when we journey, we come to understand that this building is Akashic Records. And Akashic Records are better known as the place where the history of everything is, the soul history of everything, so that you and I and every single soul has a particular book or level or container or packet of information about what each of us are doing, all the lifetimes we've been through, all the lessons we're here to learn, all the experiences we've had. It's like a data drive, a spiritual data drive for each of us, and everything that we're experiencing lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Now, some of this languaging is kind of archaic, like even the idea of Akashic Records. I think an easier way to look at it is it's like the experiences of all souls retained in collective consciousness that we can go because we're part of collective soul, because we're not separate from each other or from anything. When we go into meditative state, we can go into these places and look at the information that's there. We can look at it and sort of review it. And this can be helpful. Knowing what we did in our past life, for example, can help us understand, what we're learning in this lifetime, or knowing what's in our book of knowledge, which we'll talk about in just a second. We can understand what we're doing in our lifetime now. So we do have free readings Tuesday. You can call into 888-298-5569. We've got one caller waiting and another person dropped out. Hopefully they'll call back. 888-298-5569, and we'll be going to the phones in just a moment. And again, call in for free readings Tuesday, and I'd love to just chat with you about whatever is going on in your life, especially as we're kind of in this sort of sticky, rocky time of solar eclipse today and tomorrow. So just briefly, before we get into the readings, Akashic Records tend to have a few different portals, and like there are more portals than this, but these are the basic ones where when we go in, we start to explore, and they are, the building itself is just, a projection created for us to understand how to maneuver in this space when we're meditating. But probably the main things you want to look for are the Book of Knowledge, which is usually a giant book that contains all of the information about you as a soul, and all of the information that you need to understand about whatever's happening for you. There's the library, which contains the larger amount of all the books of knowledge for everybody, all the souls. And again, this is symbolic language. Again, you can also just think of it as tuning into collective consciousness. And because we are part of collective consciousness, we can access that information. That's a more modern view of how you might work with this idea of Akashic Records. There's the viewing room, which allows you to go in and see movies, movies playing on a screen, often that you're part of, almost like taking you back into memory of what happened to you in this lifetime, unearthing memories you've long forgotten. If you think of a lifetime as being filled with tiny memories, like micro memories of just a couple seconds, and most of them we forget, except for the big memories that we kind of repeat and go over those grooves over and over. But there's all these micro memories that also happened. And when we go into Akashic Records, we can drop into, some tiny memory of you were 3 and you were looking at a flower, or you were 17 and you were driving a car in the rain, things that you've completely forgotten. And then in going back to these and reviewing them, it provides different information, provides things you haven't thought about for a while. And then finally, a very interesting portal in Akashic Records is called the Viewing Vista. And this is a way of sort of, you go up, you look out over a vista, the vista begins to change, and you can easily transport to another place. And when we do future seeing with some of my student groups, where we'll go into meditation and look at the future, we often go into the viewing vista, drop down into a new, a modern, a place in the future, and look around what's there, which is just fascinating, because the future is really different than we live now. Just think how much progress, say, the 1800s, how it was and how it is now, and then we're looking into the future and seeing all kinds of things that maybe we can't even recognize what they are, because they're so modern and so different. So Akashic Records, it's an older word for this idea of all the information of everything, especially as related to the spiritual journey or the soul growth of all souls of all times. You have information there as a soul. The simpler way of looking at it is Akashic Records is another word for collective consciousness, oneness, the divine, God, and you can go in and access whatever you need to know about yourself, especially as you're dealing with the nuts and bolts of this lifetime now. When you go into Akashic Records, some of the most common portals are Book of Knowledge, the library, the viewing room, and the viewing vista. So for those of you who really want to get into this and go journey to these places and see what's there for you, I have a book, The Mystic Way, that takes you through all of it. And I also have 2 courses, the Akashic Project and the Soul Traveler Project. And all of those will walk you through, like, how do I do this? And it's really easy. All of this stuff It's just going to a lighter method of meditation than you might do traditionally. You begin to journey and you immediately begin to have this experience of intuitive gathering where you can see information that relates to what your life is like now. And you can use this information that you gather to inform you and to guide you and to help you make hopefully better decisions and have a better experience in this lifetime, free from fear and free from anger and free from suffering, or learning to become free from those. Okay, let us go to the phones. And first up, we have Heidi from Saratoga Springs, New York. Heidi, welcome.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know exactly what this call was, and I appreciate all that you've shared thus far. And I didn't know
Yeah,
I was going to be asked a question either. So just
sure.
for me, I'm experiencing a place of huge transition and unknowingness, though having a knowing that I just can't clearly define.
Mhm.
And so whatever you are able to share with me or ask me a question that might help you share something more.
Yeah, is your feeling of so you have this general feeling or flavor of knowing, and it feels like that's pretty positive, or like this sense that everything's gonna be okay. Is that how you're feeling?
Yes, though there's an uneasiness with it.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the uneasiness. The uneasiness comes from like wanting things to be more defined, like wanting the giant billboard that says, here's exactly how it's going to go, like wanting all the
Yeah.
details to be sure. And the universe, I can't even imagine when the universe has provided that level of guarantee. It's more like, here's the general flow of where things are going, and yes, it's safe, or yes, or it's not safe. In your case, it is safe, um, to move ahead. Like, we don't really get the whole picture, and that can create, especially in transition, it's like, am I doing the right thing? I think I'm supposed to do this. And then, but we still are like,
Yeah.
but is it right? so, so kind of like letting go of the idea that it's all going to be clear as a bell. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
What are your practices in terms of meditation, or trying to get guidance, that what do you do?
I think what works best for me is being as still as I can in my mind, no matter what the scenario, whether I'm busy with an agenda physically, or if I'm in yoga or meditation, it's always listening beyond what I see and hear, and seeking to um, hear between the lines, kind
Yeah.
of.
Oh, that's a beautiful phrase. I haven't heard that before. Yeah, you're sensing between the lines. Um,
Yeah.
what have you noticed in terms of synchronicities or events, or uh, I call it disruptors, or wake ups that have been helping you point along this new path of transition? What have you noticed?
Well, I know that the more I'm still in my mind, no matter how active I could be physically, even playing tennis, if I just keep focused, like it's a constant for me, that stillness, no matter what I'm doing. And when I stay focused on that stillness within me, in my mind, which is mind, body, soul, I I I benefit, and it
Mhm.
sometimes can't be concrete as to um, something specifically taking place, but it's a knowing that I did well, maintaining that. And then when I lose that little bit of that focus, whatever those disruptors are, that energy that takes over and makes for the disruption, that's exactly what happens. A disruption happens, and I immediately, my mind, body, soul says, yep, you went like almost beyond that boundary of not listening to your little voice and following it. And then I got the disruptor. Though I did what I did. I acted upon something, and it created a disruption, and then I have to go back into greater stillness and think to and reprocess and say, okay, why did I create that? What was the lesson to be learned there?
So here, I want to give you a different idea. So not stopping the stillness, or I would call that like the relaxation of thought, but also adding in, and this might take a little getting used to, but so instead of like almost like what you're doing now is you're creating a container of relaxation or calm or stillness or present moment focus. And then in addition to that, I want you to consider thinking about creating this idea where you expand, you disperse, or you expand, or you extend into everything all at once. So instead of creating a container, you're having no container whatsoever. And so I sometimes practice this in really horrible situations, like really loud, jarring, like say a punk rock concert or busy traffic. And this idea of I expand into everything all at once. And it's similar to what you're doing, but it's a slightly different flavor. It's the macro instead of the micro. And this may be just an interesting technique for you. Heidi, I'm going to let you go because I've got another caller, but I think you're on the right track, and I think you can hold it more loosely. Like there isn't really this need for control or focus. It's more like relaxing small, and then relaxing big, the expansion, and just playing with those might be super interesting for you. Anyway, thank you for calling. Yeah. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. So, okay, so we're going to go to Renee, who's calling from San Diego. Renee, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Clara. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, what can I help you out with?
I really appreciate listening to Heidi and what you were telling her, because I feel like I've gone through this transition or this divorce for about 1.5 years now. And I wake up constantly in fear. Mm-hmm. And then I have to project peace, quiet, stillness, and it's more like a force for me. But then, like in the middle of the night, I'll just wake up in total fear and panic.
Yeah.
And I can't seem to let go of the last 35 years because I don't know how to get to the next part of new habits and it's.
Yeah. So, Renee, how much have you allowed yourself to feel like the deep rage and anger that you have? How much processing have you done of allowing that?
I'm sorry, what?
How much have you allowed yourself in terms of this divorce to feel anger and rage at a deep level?
None.
Yeah, that's where it is. There's a time for peace and a time for, being when they go low, we go high. There's a time for that, but there's also a time to have this feeling and processing of what you really feel that hasn't been allowed yet, which is this deep anger and rage. And even just accepting, like, oh, I have deep anger and rage. Okay. And then it starts to be like, oh, yeah, I have deep anger and rage. And you don't need to like go put this on another person, or it might be good to work it out in therapy, but just allowing, like, this is fine to feel these feelings and to work through them. And I think once you do that, the fear's just gonna melt away. It's like that won't be there anymore.
Yeah, I think for this whole process, I've just tried, like you said, take the high road, you know, and find the peace, find the joy, but I haven't let myself be angry and mad.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
haven't.
yeah, it feels like it's more the anger that's the bubbling up that needs to get allowed.
Clear.
And also, the joy won't go away if you start examining the anger. Like, you're joyful because you got divorced. Like, the the continued joy that's going to come from that is a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Just not
Okay,
having
so
to
that's
be
good.
with this other person that's uh not so nice.
Well, that's what yeah, I guess part of me is just like pretending. Just take the high road. You're supposed to take the high road. You're supposed to just, and I've been the caretaker for so long, but now it's like, oh, take the high road. You're above that. You're better than that. And the panic is in the middle of the night. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I lost control.
Yeah. Yeah. So this will just have to get allowed. It's no problem to have anger and rage. The problem is when we, put that on someone else in an immature way. It's okay to have those feelings. So just, yeah, attend to that, and I think you'll have some shift. I'm going to let you go. I've got another caller. So,
Okay.
but thank you so much for
Thank you.
calling in. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, and lastly, we have Sue from Texas. Sue, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
What can I help you out with? We only have a few minutes, so I'll do my best.
Okay. Well, I am ready to graduate with a certificate in coaching and just some inspiration for stepping out and doing my work as I have been called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what are your expectations for how soon this is going to get going? Or let me
Uh,
just say more clearly, because I don't see things building. Things will start to form like around beginning of next year. So if things if things go a little slowly at first, it kind of just don't panic. Just there's nothing there, like there won't be anything wrong with, say, your marketing plan or your business plan, or it's just going to be a slow build. So expecting that and sticking with it is going to be better than freaking freaking out and trying all these extra things that it's really just going to build consistently but slowly at first. Does that make sense to you?
it does, and it very much resonates with what my kind of, I guess, sense about it was, that I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. Like
Yeah.
my last class tonight, and
Ooh.
then we have to do a certification, where we get tested, written test, and then like an oral test, and I already have a website built, but I was going to take a little time to practice with my friends, to kind of hone my skill before I actually go into business and start charging for, the things that I'll be offering. And so that
Yeah.
just really resonates perfect.
You
It's
know,
an affirmation.
Yeah, although
Yeah.
the guides are saying you actually don't need any more practice. It's really more just that the business side itself takes a little while to build. You don't really need to practice with your friends. In fact, it'd be better to just jump into it. But probably more like around first of the year, like from after the testing, and then it's just kind of like getting your business set, and maybe you launch beginning of the year, and then it's kind of slow and then it builds. But you don't need more practice, so kind of let go of that idea that you need more dress rehearsal. You just need to start. Anyway, Sue, thank you for calling into the show. I'm going to let you go because we're almost out of our time today, but good luck to you, and it's going to be just fine. Going to be just
I
fine.
appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So everybody, thank you for listening. Signups are on now for Intuition University Winter 2023. This is the groups that I've been teaching now in our 11th year, which is remarkable to me. I've been teaching Intuition University for 11 years. And these are the groups that help you go to, if you want to be a professional psychic reader, if you want to do this for your personal growth. We've got several groups that we work on Zoom, and we just go through all of the aspects of spiritual intuition. So we are signing up now, and we sign up every quarter. You can find out more at sarahwiseman.com. And this is stuff I teach directly. So we are in there doing the skills, learning about things. It's very, very experiential. And it's just this huge amount of fun to do this work with people who are interested in opening their intuition, learning how to use all the techniques that we have available. And I have found it to be pretty much life-changing in terms of how things form and open when you start to pay attention to this part of yourself. If you're interested, again, just go to the training section on sarahwiseman.com. Everybody, thanks for listening. We will see you next week with more of The Mystic School with Sarah Wiseman. Thanks for listening.